Hello and welcome to today's European SharePoint Office 365 and Azure Community webinar. My name is Shane and I'm delighted to be joined by Gokan Ozcifci, Microsoft Regional Director, MVP at Valo Intranet in Belgium, who will be talking to you today about mastering Microsoft Teams. Remember to join in the conversation about today's webinar on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @EuropeanSP and our hashtag is ESPC19. Don't forget to check out the Resource Center. This is packed with the latest blogs, ebooks, webinars, and how-to videos. Simply visit SharePointEurope.com and click the content link at the top. Get the best possible price for the European SharePoint Office 365 and Azure Conference, Europe's premier Microsoft Technologies conference. Visit SharePointEurope.com for more details. Sale ends tomorrow, so make sure you get the best possible price today. After the webinar, we will have a questions and answers session. Type any questions you have for Gokan in the questions window. Questions will be selected and answered at the end of the presentation. And now I'm going to pass you over to our webinar presenter, Gokan Ozcifci. Hello, Gokan.
Hello, Shane. Thank you so much for the introduction. Good morning, guten Morgen, goedemiddag. Merabalar, shalom from everywhere around the world, from the left to the right, from the south to the west, from the north to the east. Welcome all to this webinar about mastering Microsoft Teams. This session is all about how to use Microsoft Teams within an organization from an end-user perspective. I will try to show you how actually the different stacks in Microsoft Teams are working all together. I'm going to show you what the advantages are of Microsoft Teams, also trying to show what the disadvantages are of Microsoft Teams into your organization. My name is Gokan Ozcifci. I'm a Microsoft Regional Director and an MVP as well, working for a company called Valo Intranet. You can download this presentation already available under my website, which is http://gokan.ms. Whenever you go on my website, just go under the slides section, where you will find a OneDrive link where you can download every single presentation that I've been presenting in the world this year, from the SharePoint Fest to the SharePoint Conference, from SharePoint Saturdays to local regional events. Everything is available on my website. A little bit about myself. I'm a product evangelist working for Valo, which is a digital workplace service provider in Finland, based in Finland and Canada. I'm a Belgian guy, regional director and MVP, and this is my Twitter handle, xgokan. Whenever you have a question or you want to ask something about Teams or even about SharePoint, about Office 365, just reach me out through Twitter, and I will try to definitely answer with the most possible answer to your question. If you can follow me on Twitter, it would be easier for me as well. So Microsoft Teams is in one single image like this. It's one single capability, one experience, one hub that you could use across your organization. Whenever you deploy Microsoft Teams, it will use different stacks, different services in Office 365. It will use SharePoint for storing his data. It will even consume services such as Flow and Power Apps to integrate and use data and manipulate that data into SharePoint and show them in Microsoft Teams. You could use Planner, have conversations with audio and video calls with your colleagues, with external people. You could use SharePoint framework solutions in tabs. And then you could use the intelligent bot framework into Microsoft Teams. You could use Shift actually for managing times and hours of your coworkers. Every single stack that can be used as a collaboration perspective is actually available under Microsoft Teams. From SharePoint to Planner to bots to Shift, every single stack can be used in Microsoft Teams. And this is like how the components are looking like in Microsoft Teams. On your left side, you have the Microsoft Teams client. Is whenever you create a team into Microsoft Teams, it will provision for you an Office 365 group. And I will try to highlight this with the red dot. So Microsoft Teams will create a team and it will automatically for you create an Office 365 group. You see that the line is actually one way. It's from Teams to Office 365 group, meaning that if you create an Office 365 group today, it will not create a Microsoft Teams. So it's only a one-way creation trigger. So whenever you create the team, it will provision the Office 365 group that will automatically provision those 4 services for you. A SharePoint, a shared mailbox, a shared OneNote, and the Skype for Business capabilities, which will help you on calling your colleagues within the Microsoft Teams client. You can extend those experiences as well with Planner, with Dynamics 365, with Power BI, Flow, etc., etc. You could perfectly build an application in Power Apps, take that app, bring it into a tab in Microsoft Teams, and you could use that specific Power App into your client. And all of that being said, you can even build your own applications with pipelines for monitoring and deploying like Microsoft Teams using the notification hub for getting notifications into your mobile phone, etc., etc. So this is how actually the Teams components are looking like from the Teams client up to the Azure services from left to right. Another slide that I really love to present to showcase actually the powerful integration of Teams with the Office 365 engine is this one. When you create the Teams, as I've mentioned, it will create a group, it will create a SharePoint, and those are actually what you could use from the different stacks that you can use in Microsoft Teams. Let's take the example of the shared mailbox. If you have a one-to-one or one-to-end chat or a Teams chat, you can see those chats in the shared mailbox of your Office 365 group or in the shared mailbox as well herein. If you go from files perspective, if you have team files, they are stored into the SharePoint, and you have chat files, they are stored into your OneDrive for Business. If you have like meetings, you can check them with your personal mailbox. If you have like voicemails or recordings, you could use, it will use Microsoft Teams in the backend. And all of them will definitely also consume services which are Azure connected, such as Azure Cosmos DB or the media services, the Azure Media Services. So the question that everybody could ask and say like, okay, is then Microsoft Teams actually the solution for everything? Could we replace like SharePoint, Yammer, OneDrive, all that kind of stuff that we have been using for ages? Can we replace them with Teams? Well, the question is no. You can't simply say like, okay, we are just gonna remove everything from the organization and we just go for Teams. It doesn't make any sense. And this is like a real world example I'm sharing to you. Is any project, any new project into an organization has different phases. The first phase is actually you have an idea. The IT team or the IT administrator or the business or the end users, they have an idea. From idea, it becomes a draft. They work on it, they prepare stuff, they prepare documentation, they present that documentation. And if the board accepts that idea becoming a draft, then it goes to a longer phase, which becomes a project or an asset. And finally, if they release that project to the whole organization, it's actually globally available, generally available into the whole organization. So if you have that kind of project, you know, from an idea to a draft to a project and then releasing it to the whole company, what should you use? Like typically the what to use when scenario. What I do say to my customers is whenever you have an idea, it's most likely between 1 or 2 person or between a group. It can be done within Outlook or in OneDrive. You could simply share your thoughts, your insights about a new project by sending an email. Or you could simply share a file with your colleagues and say like, hey, this is a project. This is what I think about the project. Should we do it? If it's okay, and if the team accepts your idea, it's becoming a draft, then you could use a modern SharePoint site, a team site, or you could even use a team and say like, okay, now we are beginning to collaborate. Now we can use the capabilities of team around documents and collaborate around documents, or we could use the SharePoint, the modern team site, and say like, okay, we'll use the web-based engine and we'll just create beautiful pages with wonderful web parts and use that for drafts. If that passes through the board and you go to the asset, then you could use way bigger communication channels to showcase and use your project. You could use an org-wide team, a Yammer, or even a communication site to bring other people from other organizations or even other teams within the same organization and say like, hey, this is my project ongoing, and this is what I'm going to release, this is what I'm going to skip, this is what I'm going to ship, right? With the communication side, it makes definitely sense. If you have a beautiful page and you just ship all the information on the communication side, that's perfect. You use an org-wide team, perfect. You use Yammer, perfect. Whenever the project is done and you have to release it globally, and you have to mention and say like, okay, the project is done, this product or this service is now being released completely, then you could use even portals or web and say like, okay, now this has been shipped, you can all use them. So actually there is no single rule in my humble opinion to say like Teams will gonna overrule them all. No, it's actually a combination of each of them that will bring the most of it. And on top of everything, as you can see, this is what Microsoft is calling the inner loop and the outer loop. This is like when you do the most of the collaboration part. And within the collaboration, you have Teams, SharePoint, OneDrive, even email is part of that collaboration. But whenever it goes to the outer loop, and this is a mistake, it shouldn't be like outer loop, it should be something else. Apologies therefore. But whenever it's like the outer loop and the globally available of the service, then you go for the SharePoint portals or web or the org-wide teams and communication sites. So there's a huge difference between what you do internally and externally, and Teams fit in every single scenario. Not only Teams, but also SharePoint and OneDrive and web and Exchange, etc., etc. A little recap before going intensively into demos, because we have like 40 minutes of demonstration with Teams, what it can, what it can't. But just to refresh, and if you never heard about what the private and the public teams are, the default team, whenever you create a team in Microsoft Teams, it is a private status. By default, you will not have a public one. The joining process in a public team, users can join by themselves, which is actually different with the other one. Because if you want to join a private one, you won't see it. You will have to get an invite, or you will have to get a code from the owner to join the private team. The search is actually across Office 365, like in Microsoft Teams. You can find your documents, even Word within PDF documents, Word documents from the Teams interface, and the invitation, as I mentioned, yeah, you can just get a link or a code. Org-wide Teams is also something new what we are getting in Microsoft Teams. We know we had the public and the private one. Now we are getting the org-wide Teams. Org-wide Team is actually one big team which will enroll every single person within the organization into your org-wide team. It can go up to 5,000 users, and only global admins can actually create org-wide teams. Every owner of a team will be then added as an owner in the org-wide teams. And the side effect of this is that the team members can't leave an org-wide team. As a team owner, I can definitely remove a user, but I can't leave. And Microsoft has even released some best practice around that on how to manage org-wide teams. And I think we have a slide around that coming on. And the last but not least one is that the feature might be still rolling out to your organization. So this is actually, in my humble opinion, also an alternative fact on the Yammer, the outer loop that we had within Microsoft Teams. Now we will get the org-wide team where everybody will be part of it, where you can simply make a communication and everybody can see your communication into your team. A few best practices that Microsoft has been releasing about org-wide teams: allow only team owners to post in the general channel. Otherwise, you know, if you have like 4,000 people working in the organization, it can become a huge mess into the channels. That's the reason why the second thing they say like is turn off at team or at team name mentions. If everybody begins to mention teams, you will get a lot of notifications, and being productive is not quite difficult. Automatically favorite important channels and removing accounts that might not belong is also something crucial to do because not everybody has to be in the all-white team. Okay. A few other differences between the public and the private one. From a channel and chat perspective, a channel is public, a chat is private. If you are added into a channel, you can see what's going on. A chat is private. On a channel perspective, there is no notification if you're not mentioned. If there is chat, if somebody writes to you, you will get a notification every single time. The channel can have up to 2,500 members. A chat can have up to 50 members. And this is what you should actually think on replacing it. The channel can be used to replace CCs in email. And the chat can be used to replace Skype chat or email as itself. So please don't take this as the real code that chat will replace email. In my humble opinion, email has a phenomenal capability, which is called offline work. Teams still can't handle offline work. Outlook has been here for like 22 years. Teams is like here only for 2 years. So it will definitely not replace the email capability, but it could be used to replace the email capability. If you're added to a channel, it will show the history. So be careful what you're writing in a channel. Don't bash any colleague into your channel. Otherwise, if you add them, they can see it. And you have a lot of app integration into channels and bots in chats as well. And in a channel, you can do on-the-spot video meeting. And in a chat, you can call, video, or screen share with your colleagues in your organization. The final 2 slides before getting into demonstration. Why did we need actually Microsoft Teams? Why is Microsoft Teams actually coming from nowhere into your life? It is actually what we had as a project at the big bang. And today in on-premises, actually collaboration is still complicated. Whenever you think about certificates, FBA, VPN, tokens, hybrid environments, like on-premises is still very, very, very complex whenever we talk about a digital workplace or whenever we talk about collaboration. We never get the cloud offerings like OneDrive, while they give you like terabytes for free. You will never get that into your organization. You will never get the cloud innovations. If we think about AI, if we think about Delph, those new capabilities, we will never get them on premises. The cloud transformations such as Power Apps and Flow, if you are stuck in an on-premises era in your organization, you will still use SharePoint Designer, right? You can't get those new cloud capabilities, the transformation tools such as the Dynamics platform with Power Apps and Flow. It is complicated. Preparing the minds for the cloud, the culture shift. It is complicated today, even for only online users to migrate from classic to modern, right? So complicated. Could you imagine people who are working with SharePoint 2010 on a server, SharePoint 2010 server, going to online in the classic and then going to modern? It is a war in their mind for the shift. So they have to prepare themselves as well. And there was definitely a need for a secure, scalable, and flexible hub for digital transformation. We needed a central location where it was easy to access our documents or apps or bots to actually manage them all and bring all of those legacy lists, libraries, applications, offerings to the new modern experience. So that was actually the need, and that's the reason why Microsoft Teams has come in our lives. The advantages is the extremely fast provisioning of the new workloads. As mentioned, whenever you create a team, it will create a SharePoint, a OneNote, a shared mailbox for you. So that's very, very powerful. It has the intelligent bot ecosystem, which means that you can add a bot into your team and you can have a chat with your bot. It will do even stuff for you. You will gain in productivity as there is a real integration of the communication part, which is like going to replace the Skype for Business. So you have like integration of all the stacks into one single place from any device, any place, and with anyone who has access to your tenancy. The technical agility is also something what I really love with Microsoft Teams. on an on-premises era, if you do like collaboration and you want to build your own teams, it is definitely not flexible to add some memory, some CPU, some RAM, some new servers, right? It is quite difficult to do that, but with Microsoft Teams, it is so easy to manage and do stuff that is actually a real advantage for me as well. The anytime, anywhere, anytime access is also some of those things, and the very rapid future-proof deployment is also something which I really love with Microsoft Teams. We get every single week, every single moment, some new features coming into Microsoft Teams. Some even things that are never mentioned by the product team or even never got a blog post about them, they come into our tenancy, which is so good to see. So demo time, the electric light didn't come from the continuous improvement of candles. You may improve so much your SharePoint service. You may improve your Skype for Business service, your link service. You may do whatever you want. You may improve, add servers, add memory, add RAM, bring feature packs, service packs. You won't get the electric lights. So you have to change, and that's the reason why I'm going to show you how Microsoft Teams will change our life. So this is actually Microsoft Teams. This is how it looks like. You have your panel where you can see your activity, your chat, your teams, your calendar, etc. on the left side, a list of every single team where you're a member of, and actually the content where you can manage your Microsoft Teams. The first thing what you will do is whenever you are in a team, you will be a member of some teams, or you can create and join some teams. The first thing that you will notice is that you can create a team, you can join a team with a code. So this is something like existing team. This can be a private team, or you can simply join a public team where they don't require any code or any guest access. So let's create a new team, and it will ask you two questions. Should I build a team from scratch, or should I build a team from an existing group of a group or team? Let's build a new one, and I'm going to say like I want to build a new one. And then it asks me the question, do you want to have a private one? And again, it says like people need the permission to join, a public one, or an org-wide one. Everyone into organization automatically joins. I'm going to create a public one, and I'm going to give a name, ESPC webinar. Or maybe just make it simple, ESPC 19, and I'm going to create that team. And now you will see whenever I say like extremely fast provisioning, it's not a joke. My team is already there. I can add members. I'm going to skip this. If I go under my general tab under files, this is actually a SharePoint. And that's the reason why you see here actually open with SharePoint. It has already provisioned my SharePoint site with my folder, with my security structure, where I can add files in it. We will come back to that section in a few seconds. So if I go back to join or create a team, you will see I get the same option herein. But there is something else which is called like join a team with a code. If you want to invite somebody to the team that you have created, you see that you have like 3 dots and you have like multiple options, such as adding a channel, adding a member, leaving that team, adding that team, all quite very simple to use. But whenever you go on manage team, you as an admin or as the team admin, you have like sections that you can manage your team. Under the settings part, you have what they call the team's code. By default, it doesn't have any code, right? You have to generate one for your team. If you hit on that button, you will see that Microsoft Teams will generate a code for you, for your team. If you don't like the code, you can just actually say reset the code, and he will change that code for you. Unfortunately, today, there is no way to actually bring your own code. It's something that Microsoft Teams is managing by itself. There is a big note which says like guests won't be able to join the team with the code. So it's only for internal people. I can copy this. I can copy, paste this. And if I hit on join, now it will just come to the ESPC one because I already joined it. But basically, other people who never have joined that specific team would now have access to that team. I can also, as the last one, come to the IT conference and join, and then you will see that the other team will come here as well, right? So this is very, very basic, creating, joining with the code or joining an existing one. If I come to my team, again, under the managing my team, you can see the owners here on the members tab. I can also see the members and guests. I can see my channels. So everything which I will create as a channel from here, if I just call this like ESPC channel, you will see that the channel will appear on my left side here. And if I go back to my managing my teams, it will appear as well. And I have like more options here than there. I can show it for me. I can show it for members. I can even say like, don't show it for members. And I get the same options as I have herein, okay? The bad thing with channels is actually this one. And this is where the magic trick begins with Microsoft Teams. As I mentioned, a channel is actually nothing more a folder structure into your SharePoint. If I hit on open in SharePoint and I go back to my documents, you will see that I have the general document and the ESPC channel document, which is actually nothing more the same as my channel names. I have the ESPC channel here. I will add a document. I'm sorry, just going to files. I'm going to upload a document, which is ddd.txt. Very simple, only a few words in it to make it very simple. And that document is now here. If I go back to my SharePoint, go to ESPC channel, hit on refresh, and you see that the ddd.txt is actually now also in my SharePoint. The bad thing with that is if I add a channel which has the same name, ESPC channel, you will see that Teams will say like, "Ayo, be careful, Gokan, you cannot add the same channel because it has the same name," which is so true. But if I open my emoji and say like, "Hey, I want to add the ESPC channel with the emoji," you will see that actually the warning has disappeared, right? So if I add this from a Teams perspective, no issues. He created it. He said like, okay, I have my ESPC channel and I have an ESPC channel $, which are two separate things. But if I go back to my files, you will see that the ddd.txt is also available under my ESPC channel $. Strange, isn't it? Because it should actually create a new folder. And here is actually the issue. From a Teams perspective, he makes a check on the emojis. From a SharePoint perspective, he didn't care. He said like, okay, with the $sign or without the $sign, I don't care because I already have a folder which has the same name. So I'm going to use the same and I'm not going to create a new one. So let's make another test to make it clear. I'm adding a new channel. And now, instead of adding $sign at the end, I'm adding at the beginning, bringing the ESPC channel, adding it, and you will see that it's just here. I'm coming to my files, ta-da, and ddd.txt is available again. This is so dangerous for your organization. Please be aware that if you use emojis, that in some cases, you can have scenarios like this. And I'm going to show you a final example. I'm going to add the final channel, which is like ESPC channel, but instead of using the $sign, I'm going to use the heart sign. I'm adding it, and you will see that the new channel will be here, popped up with my heart. I'm coming to my files, and now it didn't show up. Like I'm using an emoji here and here. Strange enough, this one shows the ddd.txt, right? But this one does not. If I open it to my SharePoint, you will see that I have like the heart in my URL. And the funny part is he could translate actually the heart into an ASCII character, and he just created a new folder with my heart. I've given this feedback to Microsoft, and they're actually aware of the bug, if we can call this a bug or maybe a feature, but sometimes it can translate some emojis, sometimes it cannot. I didn't really deep dive into the issue, but this is something I really want to give to you. If you use emojis, which I am using emojis because I have my intranet on Teams, and you can see I have like emojis, which I'm using, which is so cool. It brings some color into your tenancy, but be careful with that, okay? Going back onto my ESPC, you have your files, very simple. You can add new files, Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, folders. You can upload anything you want. You can even get a link that you can share. You can get the Teams link or the SharePoint link, and you can even add some cloud storage. You could simply say, hey, I can add some other cloud storage coming from SharePoint or from Google Drive or even from Dropbox if you install the app on your tenancy. On every single channel, being ESPC channel dollar, ESPC hot, ESPC XYZ, you have the little plus option. With the plus option, you can add actually connectors, apps into your channels. You have the two classic ones, and I'm going to show you actually the two most used ones because we are all from a SharePoint ecosystem. The first one is actually the document library, which is like this one, and then you have another one which is like SharePoint. This is for lists and pages. So I'm going to begin with the document library. It can show you like and say like, hey, this is like the last site you have been using, doing stuff. You can use a SharePoint link. You can copy paste the hard-coded link. I'm going to just go to Darking and check if there is something that I could use. I'm going to open the documents one, give it a name, documents Darking, save it, and tada, in a few clicks, I now have a connection to that specific SharePoint library with the specific documents in it, and I can see the files into my team. So I made the connection to the demo site, which has the flight expenses, the general tab, just here in, and I can use the documents. If I hit on plus and now go on to SharePoint, it will propose me two things. It will say, okay, you could use the news or the accueil in French as a page because I have only those two pages, and you could use the list. The bad thing here is I can't copy paste as I could do in a document library. Here in the SharePoint connector, I can just use the list and pages, which is on my group connected SharePoint site. On the document library, in the other connector, I could even go to other group connected SharePoint sites and bring data from that into my tenancy. So I'm going to just add a new page, which is called the news page. I'm going to not post this into the channel tab, going to save, and you will see I will get a new tab on top of my Teams with the news. And I'm going to show you something buggy as well into that part. So if I open my SharePoint here into the files, open my SharePoint, and go onto the home page of my modern SharePoint site, you will see that I have the new section. So if I come here and I add a new post and I say into my news, giving it a name, Gokan, is Gokan sexy? Let's do something like that. This is the news, and we want to discuss around that topic. I can add some fancy web parts, some text. Just keep it very simple, and we'll just post that news. Very basic, very simple to just show the capability. So I have a new news, and you can see that news here into my SharePoint. And if I go back to my Teams, to the news section, you will see that that news that we just created is actually available into my Teams client. The good thing with SharePoint is if I go back to my SharePoint, I can hit on that news, and I do definitely have the edit option. I can promote this, send this by email. And if I hit on edit, I could say like, okay, this is not really corporate Gokan. You should just change this, and you should not ask this because it's not really corporate. You can just remove this and update and XYZ, and the engine behind that will update your modification. From a Teams perspective, well, actually, there is no way on actually deleting, adding, or modifying your news, right? I have my news. I can only copy the link about this. I can expand it, reload it, open it. I can even comment herein, but I definitely do not see any way on adding new news or editing existing news into my Teams client. So Teams is only a view only for SharePoint from a news perspective. You can't really do anything on the client. That feedback has already gone to Microsoft and they are aware of it. Hopefully they will fix it soon as well. A final thought I want to give to you about the channel one is DLP. We know that DLP, data loss prevention, is one of the hottest topics security in 2019, even in 2020, because if we go to the cloud, if we use the cloud services, then we have to secure our environment as much as possible. That's the reason why we have the data loss prevention, which actually helps your end users to not leak in data. And I've created data loss prevention, a DLP rule, which actually blocks any credit card information into my Teams. And I'm going to show you very simple. I have a credit card number with an expiration date. If I hit on enter, you will see that message has been posted. And now the engine, the DLP engine behind that will check the content and say like, oh, be careful, there is something wrong going on. And there was a warning just here, as you have seen. And you will see that the background of my image is now in red. It says like your message was blocked. What you can do is I can override the send because I'm an administrator, or I can report this to my admin. This doesn't contain any sensitive data. If I confirm, you will see like it has been blocked and it has been reported to my admin. All cool. This is like amazing. It blocks sensitive data. Another cool feature in Teams is that you can get the email address of your team or your channel. So I have my channel, which is called Flight Expenses, with a specific ID with my tenancy name and then with the Microsoft email address. I'm copying this. I'm coming to my tenancy in my Outlook, and I'm opening actually a new email. And I will say like, okay, I want to send an email to that specific channel. And you will see that he automatically recognizes my channel. I'm going to just change this to Gokan just to avoid anything strange. And I'm going to copy this credit card in subject and in code, in the subject and in the message. I'm sending this, going back to my channel, and in a few seconds, normally there should come a new message. There you go, 1538, with the new content, which says like, oh, be careful. I've seen some sensitive data coming, but this time it shows it. He definitely knew that sensitive data was coming into my Teams, but now the background is not in red. He actually just shows the information from the subject as from the body into my Microsoft Teams. Please be careful whenever you apply DLP rules and try to test every single case to be sure that your environment is safe enough. You can reply if somebody sends an email, and you can reply on this. And whenever you have an email, it will say you're replying to an email message, and your comment is only visible in Teams. It is not because you're replying on an email that an email will be sent to Gokan. No, the comments are only available here. Here is a comment. Okay, and I can just begin collaborate on top of it. If I hit on reply again, I can add a longer text. This is a text, and add some, fancy stuff. But what I really love is not being able to do italic and underlining stuff that you guys already definitely know, but is this one, the code snippets. If I open this, it has some intelligence in the background to understand some common languages, and one of them which I know is HTML. Um, and if you want to ask something about HTML, it could be something else. It could be like PowerShell. It could be like about F sharp, C sharp, C++, anything you want to do. You just write actually your code and look what it does for you automatically. So I'm opening my HTML, and if I close it automatically, it will close my HTML tag for me. I'm opening the body, it will close the body. I'm opening the head, it will close the head. It doesn't have the intelligence yet to say like, hey, be careful, it should be first head or first body and blah, blah, blah. But it knows whenever you open something to close it. If I'm opening a P1, he knows, okay, there should be a text between the opening tag P1 and the closing tag P1. And I could just say like, here is Gokan. If I insert this, you will see that it will take the same structure, the same colors as in the HTML editor, and you could just say, okay, I'm gonna publish this, and now I have like HTML code into a Teams comment, right? This is amazing. This is really, for me, something I'm using like every single day. Something really cool is as well the other capability of Teams is the immersive reader capability, which we got from the EDU education part, which is now part of Microsoft Teams. I'm gonna just switch. Je m'appelle Gokan et je vous aime tous. Take the example. I'm working in a multinational company where we have like French, Turks, Belgians, Canadians, US citizens, and the French guy can't really speak English, so he's actually writing every single thing in French. If you come on your three dots, you will see that you have the translate option, which is using the Azure services in the background to translate the French text into the English text. So I think I just miswrote something, but it was just like, my name is Gokan and I love you all. You can see that he will take the French sentence and bring it into English so everybody can just understand each other. And I'm gonna just write some fancy words like chien, chat, et souris, right? Gonna come here to the three dots, translating this, dog, cat, and mouse. So why did I just show the translating capability with the dog, cat, mouse? Is because I want to show you what the actually extension of the translation capability is the immersive reader. Whenever you hit on the immersive reader, the Teams client will pop to you a new blank screen. And on the top of that, you have like three options. You could select the text size, select a font, select a color, which is like nothing fancy, but it's getting really interesting when you have the picture dictionary enabled. If you don't get what the dog means because you translated something and the sentence doesn't make any sense for you, you could use the picture library or the picture dictionary to understand what each sentence means. And a perfect example is a mouse. If your friend is very bad in English and he expresses himself in his own language, and typically some words have different meanings. A mouse could be a mouse, an animal, or it could be an IT material. So you could use the immersive reader with the picture dictionary to understand what each sentence means. How cool is this? This is something really amazing in Microsoft Teams, and not everybody knows about that. You could even translate a whole page from a specific language to, let's say, to Dutch. I can do it word by word, or I can even do the whole document. Now it will use the Azure services in the background again, and now he will just translate the dog to hond, kat, and muis, which is all correct. And ik hou van jullie allemaal, it's also something in Dutch, which means I love you all. So this is something really, 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 really amazing that I actually been using with people who can't express themselves into their own language. I'm sorry, into English, and they have to express themselves into their own language. You have like the grammar options as well. I'm using this for my son. If I have to show them like what the nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs are, I can just choose colors, enable them, and I can show them like, hey, be careful, this is like the nouns, the verbs, etc., etc. I can even show like the labels on where he should begin his word and his sentence. All cool stuff into Microsoft Teams that you could use. Another thing is if you have like a long text, you could even read that text with a speed voice, and you could even have a selection on a male or female with the sound. If you hit on play, it will read that document on the language in original or in Dutch, depending on which language you choose to translate. Okay, so many other options. If you translate, you could use Giphies, memes, a lot of fancy, cool stuff that you could use. But you could also use applications like you have like apps that you could get from here, the news, the places, talks, prices. If you hit on more apps, you have like a bunch of other apps that you could use. A few one that I already installed just to make it faster is the YouTube one. If you install that app, you can directly search for dog, cat, and mouse, or even make it simple, like HTML for beginners. As we had the HTML question, we could simply say like, hey, Gokan, just hit on this link, and this actually has the answer for your question. And if I just post that, it will make a connection to that specific video into my team. And if I hit on it, it will open that specific video into YouTube. Okay. So if I go back to my team, specific team, and I think there is an issue because my mouse doesn't work. Teams is doing weird. Okay, it's coming. Okay, there we go. I have my ESPC team. If I go to my team, something new that we had no idea like 3 weeks ago is that we have the analytics one. As this one is new, maybe I should go to the demo one. I'm hitting on managing teams, analytics, and you can see new analytics into your Microsoft Teams. It shows you a summary of the total amount of users, the messages, it shows you the active users, the roles, and it shows you even activity into your teams. This is so cool. We have like insights around our teams into the analytics section. If you come just on the manage teams in the bottom, you can see a list of every single team you have. And if you come to analytics, which is also new, you can see a dashboard or a simple view with the people, guests, messages, and the type, public or private, with the name of the team. And if you see like, okay, this team is not being used because there is not that much action anymore on that side, you could just come on the IT conference and say, okay, I will archive that specific team. So let's do a test and take the ESPC 19, which maybe is not used, and archive it. If you archive ESPC 19, it will say like, be careful, this will freeze all team activity, but you're still able to add or remove members, and you can even choose to make the SharePoint site read only. If I hit on this, my SharePoint site will become read only. I've seen some scenarios where it was not the case. I've seen some scenarios where it did bring the site on read only. So I would actually recommend you to again test every single scenario and see if Teams is bringing your site in a read only mode. So if I hit on archive, you will see now the ESPC one has actually got a new box just here in which mentions this has been archived. And if I go to it's gone. Like it even disappears from the administrator's view. So you can't do really anything with that. It's simply gone like the ESPC one, nothing can be done anymore. Simply, if you want to restore it on the same page, on the bottom you have like what we call the archived one. And if you hit on ESPC 19, you have like the restore option. And now if you restore it, it will bring it back to the person who already had the member or people who are already member of that team will see that channels and that team again into their team's feed. We only have like a few minutes left. I will just a little bit speed up about the demo. I'm going back to any specific channel, or I will directly go to the calendar. It may be easier for showcasing that. So the new calendar is available into Teams. They have been rolling it out like a few weeks ago. It is an Outlook looking-ish calendar where you can very simply and create and do new meetings. You can make a meeting or a new live event. The new live event is something that you could use whenever you have done or finished a project and you want to broadcast a news, an announcement to the whole organization. Use the live event. It has the same capability in Yammer as well. And you can invite attendees by just copying the link, and everybody can see and assist to a live event. If you do a new meeting, it is the same capability as we had in Outlook, and I could simply say like ESPC 19, I'm doing a new event, and please, everybody, use a channel to meet in. Don't leave this blank or don't do anything really stupid. Choose a channel. Because if you have a channel with 10 people and you're all working on it, and if I'm on a flight and I cannot assist to the meeting, I would love to listen to the recording. So if you choose actually a channel, and let's choose ESPC with the heart, and you can invite even people, you can write some text, and if I schedule this, you will see that the Outlook looking-ish calendar will bring me directly to the ESPC channel heart, and you will see that it will mention like Gokan has created a meeting for that day. If you hit on that item, you can directly join, you can chat with participants, you get the link that you can share with people, you can even edit the meeting options. If you join, now you will get to the new experience, which will replace actually Skype for Business. You can see your face, you can enable or disable it. If you join the meeting, you will see my face, and I have a few options. On the three dots, I can blur my background. So actually, you will not be able to see what's behind me. You will only see my face. If I just don't blur, there you go. You could actually see some of those in the background. You can even see the picture which is behind me, right? So in the actions, very, 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 very important is the blur my actions. You can turn off the camera. I can turn off the mute. I can even start a conversation with my participants. I can see the list of my participants. And the most important one is like starting the recording if you are doing a channel meeting, because starting the meeting or starting the recording of this meeting will send the meeting to Microsoft Stream. Microsoft Stream will encode that and will bring back to Teams. And let's do that because we only have like 7 minutes left. So it's now being recorded. I'm stopping the recording. Stop recording. If I quit the call, you will see now, it says like, okay, the meeting was like for 1 hour and 1 minute and 29 seconds. And now it's saved and sent to Microsoft Stream. So Microsoft Stream will now get that video, the recording, encode it, save it into his binaries, and bring it back into the Teams experience where people can just look even if they couldn't assist to the meeting. You will see on the top, I got a new meeting note. So every single note I'm taking during the meeting will actually come here into the meeting notes. So if I go back to my conversation, getting back into that team, joining this, I'm going to disable the camera, connecting it. And I go to the conversation and I just say like, hello, meeting canceled. Sending this. And you can see you get the same experience as well as we had on the conversation part. You can add emojis, attach files, etc., etc. And ta-da! Did you see this one? Stream has done the conversion, so I'm gonna stop this, hang up. You can even do like this. I'm gonna just switch and come back. And you can see if the meeting was like for 1 hour, 2 hours, I can just simply hit on that video. I will get the stream, inline stream capability, and I can then just simply watch that video from my Teams client, actually without being into the meeting. If I come back to the meeting notes, you will then see again if I took meetings from that meeting herein. Okay. A final thing I want to show is then the calls option. You can have the call option into Microsoft Teams as well, and you can have a chat call with many people, which, as I mentioned, will replace the Skype for Business capability into Microsoft Teams. You can have a chat. You can have multiple chats. I can have a chat with bots. I can even like look for people and have chat with them. The last but not least one is the type a command or a dash. If you do like this, I can set my availability from busy to available. So if I do this available, you will see that the red icon is just now disappeared. If I do this again, I can just maybe send a message, and that one was chat. I could just give a name, and it will just find a name for me, and I could just say like hello, and then you will see a new chat will appear on my left side, which will send my message to my brother. Okay. Another one is if you want to do some stuff, you can praise some people, you can search for names, you can search for places, and all of those will be longer and longer if you install apps into your tenancy. That's all for me. We only have like 3 minutes left for the questions. This is like how Microsoft Teams is looking very fast about channels, about teams, about what's working, what's not working, about how the integration with OneDrive, with SharePoint, with Stream is working, how the meeting capabilities are, how the chat capabilities are, and how the conversation experience is going to rock our experience. I really hope you enjoyed, and I think, Shane, we have some questions.
Sure, Gokan, thank you for a great presentation. Yes, we will now start the questions part. So should you wish to ask Gokan a question, you can type it into the questions window. As we're short for time, I'll be quite quick. And here is the first question, Gokan. In a German environment, the general channel is translated to Allgemein. Excuse my pronunciation, but the SharePoint folder is still called general. Is there a way to fix that already, or is it a user voice topic?
I think it's going to be a user voice topic. Okay. As it's a cloud-only service, it's going to be user voice topic.
Okay. Next question. I have run into challenges when I rename a channel and or the corresponding folder in the document library. Do you know if Microsoft is working to fix these issues?
So the answer is yes, I know about the bug. Yes, I've been giving this to Microsoft, and there are like hundreds of articles on the internet to not rename a channel because SharePoint, as I've showed, like with the emojis ones, doesn't care about what Teams is doing in the front end. So I don't think Microsoft is really working on that one. But yes, it's something which is so I'm not calling it stupid, but it's a bug. It's something that should be fixed soon. But today there is no real fix there.
Okay. This person says, I do not have the translate option available in my version of Teams. Any idea why?
The global admin of the tenancy should enable it into the Teams admin center. So by default, it's not enabled. Your admin should enable the translation services Then you have to wait like for a few hours, and then you will get the translation service available into Teams. But the global admin should enable it.
Okay. And last question: how could we define permissions level? What if we can? What if we can to restrict members to delete files from the channel?
I don't really get the question,
Yeah,
but
I'll try that one again. So, how could we define the permissions level? What if we can restrict members? So I think they want to
oh
restrict members from
yeah.
deleting files in a channel.
So two answers. Therefore, we are getting the private channels into Microsoft Teams, which means that you could have collaboration and restricting people on documents, applications into a channel. So this, as an example, the SPC channel hard could be a private one, or you could simply not be using Teams because Teams is an open, broad stuff, and private channels is coming. So I would recommend you to wait a few weeks, few months. At Ignite, private channels will probably be announced and coming into a tenancy for actually having private discussions, communications, and files.
Brilliant. Gokan, on behalf of the ESPC community, thank you for taking the time today to complete this webinar. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, and see you all soon.
Thanks, Gokan. Okay, everybody, that is it for today. A big thank you again to Gokan Ozcifci for his time today. This is the end of today's webinar, so please see sharepointeurope.com for further details on all upcoming webinars, or visit our resource center where you'll be able to download all previous episodes, and today's webinar will be added shortly. Thank you all for joining, and thank you again to Gokan. Take care and goodbye.